Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So in today's video I'm going to be showing you how to make this floral centerpiece for only $15. This is perfect for a wedding, a baby shower, or even just to give as a gift. I got married last October and I DIY'd all my flower arrangements. I have a video on my channel from a few months back where I talk about how much I spent and I go in a little bit more in detail. So if you want to see that, I'll link the video in the description box. So we're starting off this project at Trader Joe's. This is actually where I got all the flowers for my wedding. Trader Joe's is not only super affordable for groceries and other things, but they have such a great variety of flowers to choose from. Like many other grocery stores, they sell flowers that are already pre-arranged, but the thing I like most about it here is they sell individually packaged flowers. So as you can see here, you can get just a pack of eucalyptus, you can get roses, baby's breath, and especially if you're DIYing your flowers, you kind of do need that luxury of getting all the florals individually packaged. You're going to want to draw upon some type of inspiration or at least a reference point for when you're creating your flowers. I like Pinterest and I have these two pins saved. I'm going to try to find a medium between the two. So I picked up a package of spray roses for $3.99, half a dozen white roses for $6.99, a bunch of chamomile for $3.99, and then I got two different types of eucalyptus for $2.99 each. That brings our total to $23, and I was actually able to get two centerpieces out of everything that I purchased. I'm using this vase from Dollar Tree, but of course you can use any vase you'd like. At my wedding, I used mason jars, and those were pretty cost efficient. So I'm just gonna prep my little workstation. I'm working at my kitchen table. I'm putting down some newspaper just so I don't scratch the wood on my table. The roses that you get at Trader Joe's are actually already dethorned, so you don't really have to worry about that part. So now I'm just unpackaging all the flowers and I'm just arranging them by group and setting them aside just so I have everything available at arm's reach. Whenever I'm working on a project, I like to keep my little workspace nice and tidy and keep everything kind of grouped together. If you're like me and you're not a florist, it's so easy to get overwhelmed, especially if you're trying to create centerpieces for a bigger event like a wedding and you need 10 or 15 centerpieces all together. You're gonna have a lot more flowers set up. You're probably gonna have buckets of flowers set up in an actual room. So for me, it was so important just to keep everything clean and tidy and in order so I didn't get overwhelmed. Okay, so now you're ready to get started. I just filled up my vase with a little bit of water and I got some kitchen scissors to cut the flowers. And I'm filling up the vases with the little package of flower food that comes with the flowers. I'm starting off with the roses because they're the largest flower. I'm snipping off the leaves that are on the lower half of the stem. This step is actually pretty important. This is where I'm measuring the stem of the rose to determine how tall I want the roses to sit on the top part of the vase. Just make sure you cut a little less than what you think you actually need, just because if you need to go in and cut more, you'll have a little space to work with. It's also recommended that you cut the stems at a 45-degree angle. This allows for the stems to absorb more water and it preserves the life of the flowers. So now I'm gonna go in and I'm just gonna arrange the roses how I want them to sit. You'll see that one of my roses is a lot taller than the other, which I go back and I cut a little bit later. I also went in and I gently plucked some of the rose petals just because some of them were a little wilted or they were a little stained. Another tip is if you're making these centerpieces for a wedding and you plan on having a flower girl, you can recycle the rose petals. You can just place them in the refrigerator until you need them. So here's how the arrangement looks with just the roses. You can see I have them kind of fairly spaced apart and they're all at the same height. So now I'm going to be placing the spray roses. This is a pretty bushy flower, so I'm cutting off a fair amount of the leaves off of the stems. So with the spray roses, I'm placing them about 2 inches below the white roses just to add some dimension. One of the biggest things that I've learned from making my own flower arrangements is to really get that professional florist look. You want to place all your flowers at different heights. So next I'm going to be placing the chamomile. This is the first time I've ever used chamomile in a flower arrangement and I don't really recommend it. It looks really pretty and it's really nice because again it's a pretty bushy flower as you can see by the stems, but it almost immediately started to wilt after I placed it in the vase. So instead of the chamomile I would probably opt for something like baby's breath. It's going to give you that same amount of fullness but it's more resilient. So here's a 360 view. You can see that it's really starting to come together. So this is my favorite part of making any flower arrangement is putting in the greenery. So like I said before, I have 2 different types of eucalyptus. I opted for 2 different kinds just to really make it look full and to make it pop. I like to place the true blue eucalyptus towards the middle of the arrangement. That's the long stringy one. This one you don't have to do too much cutting down. You kind of want to leave this one a little long because it's going to add that necessary height. Now for the silver dollar eucalyptus, I'm going to place those towards the outer part of the vase and it's going to hang over the sides. I'm cutting off some of the smaller branches just to leave for one big branch, and I'm gonna go in and place the smaller branches a little later. I think eucalyptus is probably one of the most popular wedding or floral greeneries right now. I feel like it gives such a soft romantic touch to any flower arrangement, but not only that, it's super affordable and it's so resilient. For my wedding, I kept some of the centerpieces and the eucalyptus was literally the last thing standing. So now I'm gonna go in and I'm just gonna fill in some of the sparse areas with some more flowers. Here I added a couple more bunches of the spray roses and the chamomile, and then I used those small strands of eucalyptus that I clipped off to fill in some of the gaps too. So as you can see, I had enough flowers to make 2 pretty full arrangements. I still had quite a bit left over, so I'm just going and I'm filling in any gaps that are still left over. Anytime that I place a strand of eucalyptus or of flowers, I'm making sure that I'm rotating my vase, so I'm analyzing it at all angles just to make sure that it looks fairly symmetrical. With flowers, it's probably never going to look 100% symmetrical, but you don't want it to look lopsided because you concentrated too many flowers or too much eucalyptus in one area of your arrangement. So again, I'm just going in and I'm rotating my vase and I'm just filling in any gaps that there may be. So here's the final product. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you've also DIY'd your flower arrangements and you have any tips, feel free to share them down below. If you haven't already seen my wedding budget breakdown video, I'll leave a link right here. Thank you guys.